Hello and welcome to Art in the AM. I have been working in this little journal here all year in what I am calling the word of the week. And this week you may see in the description, or you may have gotten my text to see what the word is. All during the month of August, we are doing the words that start with the letter A for August, maybe. And so far we have done appreciation. So this was the one for appreciation. I played around with some mermaid markers, I believe is what I did that week. And then last week, the word was, this was appreciation. This was awareness, or being aware. So this was being aware of my environment. I was taking a walk and I found these leaves, and I showed last week. This is a really fun technique, a technique that I use all the time. And that was what I did last week. This week, the word that I am doing, if you saw it in the description or in my text, let me know if you've ever heard the word aesthetics. I think that I'm saying it correctly, aesthetics. So that is a word that I had never heard of until I got to college. And in one of my art education classes that I took, I believe that it was called like art and aesthetics. Like that was actually what we talked about. And I looked up the definition of aesthetics. Let me know if you've ever heard of it. Let me know if you have any idea what it means. Hi, Tony. Hi, Wanda. Here is the definition, in Webster's. And then I'll kind of tell you how I think of it specifically as it relates to art. And you may have noticed, in honor of the word aesthetics, I wore my Monday Lisa shirt. Not Mona Lisa, Monday Lisa, because it's Monday. And you'll understand why I specifically wore the Monday Lisa shirt. Here is the definition of aesthetic. It is the appreciation and understanding of beauty. The appreciation and understanding of beauty. That's how I kind of think of it. It could be also appreciation for the aesthetics of taste, of art, of just like anything that is beautiful. And it's like the way that something feels, looks. Sometimes you can't even like put it into words. It's the aesthetics of it looking beautiful. And it's subjective, right? Something that I think is beautiful, you might not think is beautiful. However, aesthetics to me is, I can appreciate it. I can appreciate the effort. I can appreciate the time. I can appreciate the colors. There's something about the aesthetics of it that it looked beautiful to someone, right? And how they put it together. Hi, I just saw my mom pop on. Judy Ross is my mom. Hi there. So aesthetics is the word that I'm going to be talking about today. And I was thinking about, I always put on my pages synonyms and antonyms. Tell me some synonyms and antonyms you think of when you think of aesthetics or aesthetic. Like, it's just that something looks beautiful. That was partly why I wore the Mona Lisa shirt. Because you may not think, like, the Mona Lisa may not appeal to you. But on some level, I think that all of us can appreciate the colors and how it was put together, and the contrast and the lights and the darks, and we can appreciate that there's beauty in it because of how the artist created it, because of how the artist painted it. So the Mona Lisa is in France at the Louvre. I have never seen it in person, but it's a very small painting. If you've ever seen pictures in relation to someone standing and looking at it, it's a fairly small painting. I don't remember exactly the size, 12 by 16 or something like that. Like, it's fairly small. But over the years, it has become this iconic painting. And there's like this level of appreciation for the beauty in it. Today, what I wanted to do for the project in my journal, and I will work on this upside down, was something that we did a couple of weeks ago when I went on my trip to Missouri to meet up with my creative friends. And Tony, I saw that was on here, showed us kind of the material that she was using, and I don't have that same material. So what I thought that I would do in my journal today to kind of show just a different viewpoint of being aesthetic is the materials that I have. So a couple of weeks ago when we went to Missouri, Tony showed us, and Tony, I know you're on here, if you can tell me if this is the right words for describing this. She showed us a heavy-bodied paint. So it's a very thick paint. It's a very, it just is heavier, like thicker and heavier. And it is a specific artist, and Tony, you can put in the comments if you're still on here. I think that his name is Gaffrey, and I cannot remember his first name. Jeffrey Gaffrey? That doesn't sound right. Jonathan Gaffrey? Dave? Like, I don't remember his first name. But he's located in the Destin, Florida area. And he has a gallery, and he specifically manufactures this thick-bodied, heavy-bodied paint. And it, heavy textured acrylic, Justin Gaffrey. There we go. So it started with a J. Heavy textured acrylic paint. So it's thicker, which means that you can get more textures with it. So my book here is already getting pretty thick, right? But I'm going to go ahead and do some textured art on here with the materials that I have. And I have some things that I'm going to play around with and just try. And then what I'm going to do is I am actually going to paint the project that we did in Missouri, which is completely dry now. And it is these little flowers. You can see the shininess on there. Tony has said that the paint, the heavy textured acrylic paint is so creamy, she says. It's very creamy. It stays shiny. So you can see like that shine on there. And I put some texture on the background. I have these flowers, the stems, and let me see if I can kind of show to you, like there's a thickness to it, right? It's raised up. Like if I rub my hands over it, it's raised up. So what I'm going to put in my journal is not going to be dry. I don't want to heat it with my heat gun, right, Tony? Like, I don't feel like that's a good idea to use the heat gun on the heavy textured paint because it could crack more. And really what you're doing is you're only drying the surface. It needs to dry like all the way through. We kind of talked about it feels like it's dry, but you should really wait like overnight. I'm going to put texture on my journal here with the materials that I have. And I'm just going to like play around with some of it. I have a texture paste, a little bit different than the acrylic paint because it is, it's more of a paste. So I'm gonna try that one. I have these glass bead gel, this glass bead gel. So it's glass beads that are inside of this gel medium. Very different than what we used in Missouri because it was a paint, a heavy-bodied paint. This one I have is a golden product, and it's a clear tar gel. I don't know if that is really thick, but we're going to try that. And then I have a heavy gel matte, and this is probably pretty close, but I'm going to try that. This one I think that I have used is probably my favorite, and it feels lighter. It is a light molding paste. And I feel like this one is the closest to the thick-bodied paint. And those are the 5 things that I'm going to use. I have, this is like my little tray, my little thing of all of my spatulas, my scrapers, my palette knives, all the things that I use for textured things like this. And I'll use some of those. And then I do have an old credit card, you know, so I may scrape. And then I have to have just, I don't know, a couple of like stencils. So I'm going to try a couple of those things on here. And probably what I'm going to do, I have 5 mediums. I'm going to probably do like 5 different things on here and label them so that I know which ones I've used. So let me go ahead and turn this down. Yeah, Tony says definitely let it dry naturally. Hi there, Janet. So I'm going to go ahead and you can see my Monday Lisa shirt. Do you love her hair on there? It just always makes me smile every time I put it on. So I'm going to kind of go this direction, and I'm going to use the Heavy Gel Matte first. And I think what I'm going to use on this one is this stencil. So I'm going to kind of divide it up into five sections. Let's go ahead and kind of do that here. I'm just going to do like some light lines so I can have some different sections. They didn't end up very even on there, just to like play around with. So I'm going to try this one first. And it's going to come right up to the edge right there. And I'm going to use one of my palette knives. Tell me if you have anything like this. Do you have anything that is a thicker bodied, a heavy bodied paste? This one is the Heavy Gel Matte. So I'm just going to put it right onto this. I don't know. This is pretty close to what we used. That looks very similar to me. It has like a nice little squeeze tube on here. These golden products, I got in all 3 of these here. I got in a little sample kit. Put the word sample if you would just like to see kind of what all comes in the kit. I think that I have it in my Amazon shop, but I will have to see. I think I'm going to do it this way. This makes a lot more sense to me to do it this way. So I'm going to take and I'm going to kind of hold my palette knife at like a 45-degree angle. And that helps me to kind of push it into those spaces there in that stencil. And what I'm realizing is it used a lot. It used a lot of that. So I'm going to put more on my palette knife here. And this is the Heavy Gel Matte. And matte means that it's not going to be shiny like the one that we used in Missouri. And I'm trying to just kind of fill in some of these bigger areas here. And just kind of scrape. And then I try to get all of it off the stencil as much as I can. And then there's a little bit left on top of there. And since I don't have it like in a tub or anything, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of use the rest of that. See if I can use up all of that. And then I will lift up my stencil. If I can grab a hold of a corner here. Ooh, I still had some paint on the back here so you can actually see those a little bit better. And then what I normally do is I will, where did they go? I have, oh, they're over here. I have baby wipes. You can also have like a tray of water, and you could put all of your things that you're using into that tray so that the mediums that you're using, the heavy body paint, whatever it is, don't get stuck. So I'm going to take and just wipe this off. and I will just wipe off my stencil. A lot of times what I'll do is wipe it off on a piece of paper. And then sometimes I get kind of some cool effects from wiping it off on the paper too. So I just wipe that off. So this one is the Heavy Gel Matte. So can you see there's a little bit of yellow on there. So I will let that dry. Lori says she's trying to see my nails. They are purple and very sparkly. The color is called Iris Platinum. Iris Platinum. Okay, next I'm going to use the Clear Tar Gel. I've never used this one before. And I think I'll use these little circles. And you could definitely, when we use the heavy textured paint here, Tony had it like in a bag that looked like you were using like frosting in a what do they call it? A cake bag thing. And you can definitely just like use it right on there. And I haven't even opened up this one yet. Ooh, it looks a little shiny. Okay, and it looks a little bit more liquid. I'm going to try the same as I did with the, oh yeah, it's definitely not as thick. This looks more like a glossy kind of a gel thing. So we're gonna see, let's do it this way here. I don't think it's going to be raised up as much. So we're gonna try it out. It's definitely picking up some paint. So raise that up there. Yeah, this is much more liquid. Much more liquid. So it is not a heavy bodied. I've never even used it before. So clear, it's a gel transparent. Yeah. So it is definitely not a thick bodied anything. So I'm going to wipe both of those off. And then we're going to go to the light molding paste. And this is something that I've used before and probably the closest to what we used. I'm going to use this stencil. And let's see. I think I'm going to do this leaf right here. Put that on there. And use that same, I kind of like this palette knife. It has the long edge and then it has like the little short edge on there. So let's see what this one looks like here. Yeah, this is very close to what we used. So this is the light molding paste. And let's see if I can get it a little bit closer. Oh yeah, that's pretty close. It's a little grittier, it seems like. Oh, but it filled in that stencil really well. And then I still have a lot left on there. Oh, that's gonna leave a nice raised up effect. Can you? I don't think you can see. Once this dries and I do something else with it, then I will post a photo. Oh, I'm gonna try. I have some extra on here. So I'm just going to use another little stencil that I have, one of my favorites here, with the spirals, and try to use up the rest. And then as this is drying, I will paint the one that we did in Missouri. Oh, that's really fun. Okay, I have just a little bit left on here. I'm going to come up here, try not to mess up that leaf, and try to use up the rest there. Kind of made like a little border. Now, the fun thing, especially with these thicker ones, once these dry, I can use paints, I can use inks, I can use all kinds of different things with that. I still have just a little bit left on there, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. I'm going to go ahead and wipe it off. So that was the light molding paste. Probably the closest to what we used in Missouri. And let me go ahead and wipe off that stencil. Okay, next I'm going to use this texture paste, and it is a sparkly texture paste from Ranger. Ranger does a lot of these distress products. And, well, I say I'm going to use this one. Oh, there it goes. One of the little tricks that Ranger, Tim Holtz says to do with this paste is to use a piece of press and seal before you screw the lid on, and then it'll be easier to remove the lid off there. Okay, I have a couple of other stencils. I think I'm going to do this little stencil. I think this is one I got from Dollar Tree, and I cut it. You know, it was a bigger piece, and I cut it just into the different patterns. I don't know, do you like this pattern or this one? But it's kind of more like a leopard kind of a print. And this one is, I don't know, just kind of like some random little, I think I'm going to try this one because it's bigger. It'll take up a little bit more of that space. Well, nope, I need to use this side because of the edge there. Okay, so for this one, I'm actually going to dip it into this tub, and I'm going to use the little shorter edge. And the nice thing about this, if I have any left, I can put it back into the tub. And I think that those Golden products, they come in a tub like that too. Because I was using the sample little set that I got, that's why it's in that little squeeze tube kind of thing. This is very gritty and not like the heavy textured paint. See, like I still have a lot left on there that we used in Missouri at all. But it is going to give a raised effect. So we'll play around with that and see. Trying to get a couple more of those, and then I can scrape it across. Okay, and then I can just put this extra right back in there. And then what I will do is label these when I get them all done, and that way I can be able to look back and see is it up there? And then I can see how they look, and I can play around with colors on top of there. Go ahead and wipe this off. Might need to get a new baby wipe. Okay, the last one that I'm going to do is glass beads. There are actually little beads suspended. I'll see if I can, get this one open. There's little tiny, they're even smaller than seed beads inside there to be able to use. So let's see, I won't be able to get very much of this stencil, but look at this beautiful dragonfly stencil. I think I'm going to use just the edge. I'll just be able to see kind of like the wing and those little swirly things there. So this around the edge right here, this is really dry. I have to get down into, and it's pretty thick. It's holding its shape pretty well. It's definitely going to be textured. We'll see if it goes into all of these little spaces in here though. I don't know that it really will. Can you hear that? That scraping on there? Because it's those little beads that are on the surface that I'm taking this palette knife over top of, and that's what you're hearing. It's actually a pretty fun material. I don't know if it's going to go into these little wings down in here or not. I always recommend anytime you have a product. Now, I actually bought this tub, you know, this whole big tub of the glass beads to try out. I had seen different people, some artists using it when we went to Florida last year, and that was why I decided that I wanted to try it. But anytime you get new things like this, I always recommend to kind of try them in a journal like this. Okay. And I don't have very much left, but I'm going to scrape it on the side there, close that up. So I have all 5 of my mediums. I'm going to keep them in the same order so that I can remember, and I will label these on here. And go ahead and lift this up. Oh, it kind of went into those wings. I'll show it to you and see if you can see. But I'm going to make sure that I wipe off the stencil with those glass beads. And I may even take them and put them into a tray and wash them off. So let me see. The textured beads are definitely very raised up. Hi, Sue. So you can see a little bit there. You can see where that's kind of shiny right in there. But those little tiny glass beads. So that is my page that I am going to let dry overnight and then experiment with some colors, maybe some inks on there. But now I'm going to go ahead and paint this. I have a couple of things that I'm going to try, and one of them is going to be an ink. So I'm going to try that. And then I have some paints. I think, what color would you do the flowers? What color would you do the flowers? Hi there, Adrian. Yeah, I'm going to, probably tomorrow, I will do a short little, just a recorded video of finishing those 5 different textures. And I will have them labeled so that you can kind of see how they react. But those are my 5 that I have that are as close as I can get to the heavy textured paint. Yes, this one is a Daler Rowney acrylic ink. It's one of my favorites because it's pearlescent. Can you see? It's like a blue pearlescent. I think that I'm going to do the flowers in yellow. So I'm going to use a yellow paint. And I think I am going to maybe have a little bit of orange like in the centers. And I'll have green for the stems. So I have a couple of different greens. And then I'm going to do some blue in the background. So what I want to have, one of the things that Tony shared with us was the texture that's on here. You can use that to your advantage for highlights. So I'm going to start with the background. And I'm going to use my ink for the background. So this is total experiment. I've never tried the ink on the textured paint like this. So I am going to, it has this little stopper in there. So I'm going to squeeze it, lift up some ink. So now I have some ink in that little stopper there. And I'm going to drop some around in here. And then I'm going to come into it with some water. To kind of spread it around. I thought that the pearlescent in the background would be pretty, and especially against the yellow flowers. Hi, Kathy. She says she looks forward to all this research. Oh, this brush is kind of stiff. Let me see if I can get a softer brush that's the size that I want. I'll try this one. It's a little bit bigger. Okay, I'll come up here and maybe you can see this a little bit better. So I'm just adding some water to this ink. And the nice thing about the texture is that, you know, I can go right up to it, and because that flower is textured, it's kind of keeping me from, you know, going into the flower. The same with the leaves and around the stem. Oh, I really like this pearl ink. And because I have a little bit of water in there, it's just like flowing around. When I did these flowers, I actually used the cake bag like thing that the paint comes in, the heavy textured paint. Adrian, it does kind of react like watercolors. However, since it's an ink, it's much more concentrated. The colors are going to be a lot more vivid because it's a pigment in there that's more intense. I don't know if I explained that very well, but yes, it moves around like watercolors, but the color stays vibrant. It stays very pigmented. I don't know if that's vibrant is the best word that I can think of. We did these on one of those canvas boards and it worked really well. I'm really liking where the texture is in the back. I don't have very many colors of, oh, I got a little bit right in here, so I'm going to use my baby wipe. Oh my gosh, and it just wipes right off. So if there's any little areas where I got that texture, it just wipes right off of there. Oh, Tony, I love that effect that I can just wipe that paint right off there before it's dry. I probably need a little smaller brush for some of these little smaller areas. Okay, and then what I want to try in the background here, look how quickly, I feel like the ink, I was able to paint that a lot quicker than I could have with paint. Right? Like it just was really quick. Oh, I love the little bit of texture in the background. Let me show you a little up close there. See all those little textures in there? And then what I wanted to try is to take the baby wipe and to wipe, oh yeah, because then it kind of, you know, I'm leaving like a few little dark areas, but I can kind of wipe away. Almost looks like little clouds back up in here, right? Very fun. And if I wipe a little bit harder, you know, it goes almost down to the white. It's kind of picking up the texture. But look how fun that is. It kind of gives me like some little cloud looks on there. I don't have any other inks that I would want to do. Like if I wanted to do magenta, I could use that for the flowers. I might use that in the center, but I'm going to use paint and I will show you. Got to move my mediums here. I'll show you what the paint. This is a Deco Earth. I don't know if you've seen this yet, but it is a recycled house paint and it has great coverage. If you've ever used a yellow paint, you know that sometimes it is a little bit transparent. It is a little bit watery, runny. and it doesn't have very good coverage. Well, this Deco Earth paint does. I don't know for sure if you can get it in the store. They call it reclaimed acrylics, but I know you can order it. I'm gonna try just the pure yellow, and I'm not adding any water. I didn't add any water to my brush, and oh, how fun is that? Oh, I pulled a little bit of blue into there that wasn't dry yet. Wash that out or else I'm going to have green on my flower. I might come back to that and wait for it to dry a little bit. I like the effects of, I still have some white kind of around the flower. And if I come in and I can add a little bit, kind of cover up where that green was. And it does like give me different effects where the texture is raised up. Adrienne says she loves the Deco Earth paints. They have such good coverage. But you see how there's like different variations in there because of where the texture is raised up? I really like that. I do have to be very careful because oh, I missed a little spot there with the ink. Where the ink isn't dry completely yet. Okay, and I think what I want to try is just right in the center, I'm going to just take a drop, just a little bit of ink. Lori, the flowers are a heavy-bodied paint that I talked about at the beginning. It is an artist named Justin Gaffrey who makes a heavy-bodied paint. I'm going to go ahead and put that one in there. And we'll kind of see what that does. They aren't moving around too much. I might add just a little drop of water in there. So the flowers and what I have on this canvas are a heavy textured paint that we used in a cake bag, you know, and like you cut the corner and like I squirted it on there, and then I kind of like shaped it and used some different palette knives, right? I'm dropping some water in there. Well, just see if I can get that to kind of move around a little bit. I don't know, I'm just kind of seeing. I'll put that one in there and then paint the yellow and see. Oh, I have some dirty water, it looks like. Look, I'm just gonna take my baby wipe and I'm just gonna wipe that right off there. Look, oh my goodness, that's so easy to wipe off. I have a lot of blue on there though. Let's make sure I don't have that blue. I mean, how fun is that you can just wipe that right off? Which I don't really understand that because this is an acrylic paint, but then because it has this surface, I'm able to wipe it off, but yet the paint sticks to it. I don't exactly understand how that all works. But it's fun to paint on because it's a different kind of surface because it's slick. Okay, now I'm realizing I have this magenta in there, so we're gonna see if it starts to blend in a little bit. Oh, yep. Kind of makes like an orange in there. I like a little bit of that, but I don't know that I like that much of it. I'm going to do another baby wipe. One of the things when you get new supplies, right, is you get to play around with them. Yes, Sue, I did use stencils on the page in my journal with all the different mediums that I have. So Tony, if she's still on here, may know whether she has used this heavy-bodied textured paint with a stencil, but yes. So I'm gonna, let's see if I can wipe a little bit of that up. I kind of like some of it, but so coming in here now with the baby wipe on here is kind of fun because now it's picking up the paint off the surface, off the parts that are raised up higher. Oh, well, now that's fun too. I took the baby wipe and kind of pulled a little bit of that magenta out, and that is a little bit more of the look that I wanted in that flower there. Oh, okay, that's kind of fun with my baby wipe. Let's try a little bit of that over in here. Right, because it's kind of picking up like on the surface. And let's get a little clean area. I don't know, that's just kind of, it just gives a whole lot of interesting little effects on those flowers. Oh, Adrian, it probably would be. Okay, then I'm going to go down here to the stems. And this is one of my favorite paints for Halloween coming up. Just like a nice green color, these neon paints. So I don't know how many of these pinks I've used here, but the green, I have an orange. I also have this blue. It's just a lot of fun. I'll show it to you on the palette here. I mean, look how much fun that green is. And then I'm going to take this other green here too. And this is somebody gave me this one. It's a Martha Stewart. And it is a swing set green. A swing set green. That's fun. Oh, okay. It wasn't coming out, and then it came out really fast. So I probably have way more, which means that after I'm done with my video, I will play around with some colors. So Tony says she has not used it with a stencil. I've used it with the cake decorating bag and the tips on the cake decorating bag. Well, I've never even thought about that. Oh my gosh, look at this green. It's like highlighter fluorescent green. I'm going to do some of that kind of like on the surface, and then I'm going to come back in. I mean, that really like makes it glow. Yeah, this heavy bodied paint was so much fun to use. We just had so much fun sitting around the table, and everybody kind of did, something a little bit different, just kind of played around with the textures, and Tony was kind of showing us different things that she had done. It was just a lot of fun. So I did that neon green kind of on the parts that are raised up, and now I'm going to come in, and it's so much fun how it just kind of picks up on the textures in there. And it just, I don't know, it just kind of, oh, I want a little bit of darker there on the edge too. You don't even really need that much paint. I still don't understand how it's sticking, but yet when I want to wipe it away, I guess it'll bind as it dries. And maybe that's what I'm not thinking about. I mean, how much fun is that I just like painted those in 2 seconds? And it's kind of nice that I don't have to worry too much about, you know, every little spot on there. And then I think I'm going to try just wiping a little bit of that away. I barely used any paint at all on there. I'm going to try to find like a little clean spot here. I felt like there was a lot of paint kind of down in here and I wanted to see more of the texture. So I'm just kind of picking up some of this with the baby white. And that actually gives me like another little texture. Okay. I might do a little bit more to that, but how fun is that to be able to... Oh, and Tony says you can actually mix your paint with the heavy textured paint. So that's a lot of fun too. Lori, it is an artist, and maybe Tony can put in the artist's name. It's Justin Gaffrey, Gaffrey, I believe. And Tony has experimented, and his is the best. It was so creamy, very smooth to be able to use, and so much fun. I love the texture on there. It just created all these different variations. Like, imagine the difference in if this was just a flat painting, right? I would have had to create all of those different little textures and variations in there and with the background. And because I have the texture on there, it just adds all of that. There you go. Tony put the name. So if you go to his website, you would be able to find that medium. So fun. Very fun. I'm going to let this dry, play around with my paint that I have left, and make sure that you look for these tomorrow, sometime late tomorrow. I'm going to let this dry for 24 hours, and then I'm going to play around a little bit with this. So I'll probably do just like a short little recorded reel or video kind of showing what I'm going to do with these 5 different mediums that I use and how similar they may be to this heavy textured paint here. So thank you for watching today. Hopefully you learned a little bit about, we talked about the word aesthetic, and, you know, kind of thinking about this, to me, the beauty of this versus if it was just painted is the texture, right? And aesthetics is all about having an appreciation, but it's subjective to what you think is beautiful, right? How's that phrase go? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It is who is looking at it. So there's a level of, when I took that aesthetics class, I learned a process of how to critique a piece of artwork, just like a method of going through and like noticing all the different elements of art, principles of art, and, you know, looking at it that way. But I learned to appreciate all kinds of different artwork and different styles and, you know, all of those things for what they were and for the elements and the principles of art. So you may like the texture, you may like the painted, you know, just flat canvas, and that's fine. But the aesthetics is the beauty of it for what it is, right? You have your own opinion of what it is that you like, but there's beauty in it just because of how it is, right? There's beauty in this, and there's beauty in the canvas that's flat. And that is aesthetics. That is what that is all about for the word of the week. So thank you for popping on. I need to go wash my hands, and I will be putting this video onto YouTube. So the replay will be on YouTube, It is here on Facebook for 30 days, so you can be able to watch it in either place. If you're not already subscribing to my YouTube channel, that's where I am putting all of my videos onto there, and you can watch them there. So Tony says thank you. Well, thank you, Tony, because you were the one that showed me about this heavy textured paint, and that I got to be able to use that while we were in Missouri. So anyway, thank you all for being here, and whether you watch live, you watch the replay, you can go ahead and hit the little heart and let me know that you were here and watching. And oh, you're welcome, Adrian. I'm glad that you were able to come on and watch. So thank you very much, and I hope you have a great week, and come back next week on Monday for the next word of the week, which is another A word. So I'll see you then.